So you're planning to move abroad, but you've got some special cargo to consider. Your pet. Watch this video for everything you need to know about moving abroad with your furry friend. Hello, and if you're new here, my name is Cepee, rhymes with Peppy from SheHitRefresh.com. And this is Chloe. I help women age 30 and over break free from a life of routine to move abroad or travel the world long term. And I myself did that back in 2015 when I moved from Texas to Spain and when I was 35 years old, and I'm still here living my best life at 42 in Malaga, Spain. On this channel, I talk about moving abroad specifically for US citizens, and I'd love to invite you to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any move abroad content. So you've decided to take your pet abroad. The good news is that it's totally doable. It just requires a bit of prepping and planning before you go. Each country has its own requirements when it comes to paperwork, vaccinations, possible quarantines, and in this video, I'm gonna give you a general overview of what most countries ask for. While it may feel like there's a lot of boxes to tick to get your pet abroad, if you start planning well in advance, you'll be able to make sure that you're able to get everything done that you need to get you and your pet over to your new life abroad without any challenges. So keep in mind, for the purpose of this video, when I mention the word pets, I'm talking about cats and dogs. Before we dive in on how to make the move abroad with your fur baby, I just want to give my weekly shout out. And this weekly shout out goes to It's Shayla. And It's Shayla says, I'm glad I came across your video. I'm 37 and ready to relocate in the next 2 years, but looking at my finances gets me discouraged at times. If you know of a US-based company that allows global locations to live, please share. I have apartment management, medical, and healthcare experience. Well, thank you, It's Shayla, for your comments. I hear you about the finances and being able to work from anywhere. I think this is a question that comes up quite often in my online community and also here with my audience on YouTube. And so I think this is really great timing that you asked this question, because I'm currently putting together a blog post on US companies that allow their employees to work from anywhere, not just anywhere USA. So that blog post will be turned into a YouTube video, so just stay tuned and I'll have some information for you in the near future. If you'd like to be featured in my weekly shout out, then just give me a comment below or drop a question, and you never know, you may be the next shout out that I choose. All right, so back to today's topic of moving abroad with your pet. So in an ideal world, it would be amazing if we could just pop our little BFFs into our bag, take them overseas, and just have them hop out into our new home. But unfortunately, moving abroad with your pet takes a lot more planning than that. Before we even get into the details of how to move abroad with your pet, I just want to mention that moving abroad with your pet is a very stressful situation. Not just for you, but here I want to highlight the stress that it may put on your pet. It can be the trip itself or just the adjustment afterwards that might put some undue stress on your animal. Before you actually relocate with your pet, it's important to consider their age, their health, and their breed, and really understand if they can handle the move. I definitely understand that pets are family. As you can see, Chloe, I brought her with me here to Spain, and I just can't imagine life without her. But it is really important to consider the best decision for your pet when you are thinking of relocating abroad. So keep in mind that short-nosed animals, for instance, have breathing problems. So that's something to consider if you're gonna be taking your pet on a plane, and that can put them on higher risk for complications during a long journey. So make sure you're looking at the whole picture and really putting your pet at the center of this big life-changing decision. Also, if you're just moving for a short period of time, really consider if bringing your pet is the best decision. It may be better just to leave them behind with friends and family until you come back. In the case of Chloe, I actually left her with my aunt in Texas. I left her there for actually 2 or 3 years before I brought her to Spain. So I know that is a long time, but when I moved to Spain, as much as I hoped that it was gonna be a long-term move, I wasn't sure. And so I really wanted to establish myself here first before bringing Chloe here and putting her under that stressful journey. And it was very stressful for her, but I think I made the right decision by leaving her behind with family and other dogs that she knew, my aunt's dogs, and then bringing her here to be with me. So a question that comes up a lot is the cost of moving abroad with a pet. So people are curious to know, and that price actually will vary depending on a few things. It will depend on your destination and the size of your pet, but expect to spend anywhere from a few $100s to even into the thousands of dollars for making that move. Typically, a larger dog is going to be more expensive than if you're flying with a cat or a small dog. And of course, where that animal is it going to be in the cabin with you? Is it going to be in cargo? All of that, of course, will greatly affect the cost. In addition to that, of course, vaccines, entry permits, mandatory quarantines that some countries may have, all of that is going to be stuff to consider in the cost as well. And some countries like Australia and Japan are some of the strictest in the world with their entry requirements for pets. So just in a minute, I'm going to go over the checklist of what you need to consider, but I just wanted to give you a little overview of what to think about when you're thinking about the costs of relocating with your pet. So some things that you're gonna have to budget for, everything from microchipping to the vaccines and treatments that I mentioned, healthcare certificates, airline fees, import permits, customs clearance, carrier that you're gonna take them in, and other supplies for the journey, pet health insurance, which is optional, and a pet relocation service, which is optional. But I'll talk about that a little bit more as we get into the checklist right now. Okay, so if you're wondering how to make that move, let's go through my checklist here of 12 different points of moving abroad with your pet. Number one is going to be to check the rules for your destination country. So to make this move as smooth as possible for you and your fur baby, you're definitely going to want to understand what the requirements are to entry for your pet. This is important to know because one, you want to make sure that you can even take your pet to this country, and two, you need to understand the requirements to make sure that you can meet them. Number two is to talk to your vet. So discuss your move abroad with your vet who can advise you on your pet's health as well as what to expect. Now, you're probably going to need to talk to a vet that is USDA accredited, and we'll talk a little bit about a health certificate later that will need to be done by a USDA accredited vet. Not every vet has this accreditation. And with your vet, you can talk about your pet's age, health, and breed just to make sure that this journey will be okay for your pet to take. Now, there's going to be a lot of steps that you're going to have to take for this move. And so number three here is to hire a pet relocation service. So this is, of course, optional. And in my case, I did not use a pet relocation service. But if you have the budget and feel more comfortable relying on experts to help coordinate this move, you can hire a pet relocation service, and they can coordinate anything from paperwork to crate training to handling the journey itself. Number four is to get your pet microchip. So if your pet isn't already microchipped, now would be a great time to get that done. Also before they get their rabies shot. Most countries are going to require your pet to be microchipped before they can enter. Number five on the list is to get your pet vaccinated. So getting your pet vaccinated against rabies is a known requirement for taking an animal abroad. And as I just mentioned, it's important to get them microchipped before so that the pet's identity is known when they get their vaccine. So it's really important to know that some countries and many will require a 21-day waiting period after the last rabies vaccination of your pet before they can enter the country. Super important. I actually had this issue with Chloe when I was getting ready to take her from Spain to the US on a trip that I was going on, and I realized that she had not met the vaccine requirements for rabies because it had not been 21 days yet, and so I was not able to bring her to the US, and I had to leave her here behind in Spain. Of course, it all worked out. I left her with a pet sitter, but I found out all of this just a few days before my flight, and it was very stressful. So please make sure that your pet is vaccinated in time once you find out the waiting period for the country you're going to. Some countries may require some more vaccinations and also require your pet to be treated for tapeworms before arriving, but it's just a great rule of thumb to ensure that your pet is up to date on all of their vaccinations before making the move. Number 6 on the list is obtaining a health certificate. So wherever you move, you're going to be required to supply this international health certificate. And this signals that your pet is in good health and ready to enter a foreign country. So this is the health certificate that I mentioned earlier, where you'll need a USDA certified or accredited vet to complete this procedure. And while it's going to vary from country to country, typically you need to get this done no more than 10 days before your flight, before you're leaving. to move abroad. This health certificate will include their vaccinations as well as other important information. So make sure you get this done in time. It can be very stressful. It is something that you kind of have to leave till the last minute and just get it done, like I said, within that 10-day window. Number 7 is to crate train your animal. In order to minimize the stress and anxiety during the trip, get your pet used to being in a crate beforehand. And it can take weeks to months to get your pet comfortable being in a crate for hours on end. So be sure to start that training early. Number 8 is to plan your trip. Airlines have different requirements when it comes to breeds, sizes, and fees, and more. So make sure to do your research to find the best option for your furry friend. So airlines such as American Airlines, KLM, and Lufthansa are known to be pet-friendly airlines. And of course, just like yourself, you're gonna need to reserve a spot in advance. And if your pet is small enough like Chloe was, they should be able to come into the cabin with you. But there are a limited number of cabin spots for pets, so that's why also you should try to reserve this as soon as possible. If your pet is not cabin size, they'll need to fly below the cabin in the cargo hold, either as checked baggage or cargo. So with both options, your pet will be flying in a pressure-controlled area of the plane. The difference being that checked baggage means that you must accompany your pet on the flight, meaning that you have to be on the same flight as your pet. While cargo means that your pet can fly unaccompanied. Number 9 is to prepare for the journey. If your pet is traveling in the cabin with you, be sure to pack essentials such as dry dog food, a water bowl, waste bags, and any medications that your pet may need, as well as their favorite toys. If your pet is flying in the cargo hold, be sure that they have a comfy bed and bowls for food and water. A helpful tip is to tape a plastic bag to your pet's crate, and that bag should have the information of their name, your contact information, and any necessary paperwork. Number 10 is to complete potential quarantine requirements. So your pet may have to be quarantined in your destination country from anywhere from a few hours to even a few weeks. Be sure to reserve your spot ahead of time because these facilities tend to fill up pretty quickly. Number 11 is to acclimate your pet to their new surroundings once you're abroad. Set up a spot at home with a bed and some of their favorite toys. You can even include a blanket that smells like your old home for added comfort. And try to establish a routine when it comes to things like feeding and taking your dog for a walk, like you would for yourself to combat any jet lag. And the most important thing is just to be patient with your pet. They've gone through a very stressful and sometimes traumatic journey, and so just give them the space and time for them to adjust to this completely new surroundings. And number 12, the last point here, is to arrange any post-arrival checkups. Depending on your destination, you may have to take your pet for an additional checkup within a certain time frame after arriving. Make sure you're aware of the specifics of this before you land. And of course, it never hurts to find a local vet sooner than later. And if you're moving to the EU and plan to do travel throughout Europe with your pet, you can check with your vet about getting your pet a European passport. Chloe has her Spanish dog passport, and that can help you bypass further travel requirements if you're traveling within the EU. As you can see, moving abroad with your pets does take some advanced planning and preparation, but it is so worth it to have them by your side. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it really helpful, and I'd love to hear about your move abroad with your pets. And if you need additional resources about moving abroad, please check out my digital book, I'm Outta Here, An American's Ultimate Visa Guide to Living in Europe, where I go over the 17 easiest countries to move to in Europe based on viable visa options. So you'll find over 50 viable visa options to help you make your European dream a reality. And if you're a woman age 30 and over, please join my free Facebook group. You can meet thousands of women around the world who are just like you and want to move abroad or have already done so. You'll also find tons of inspiration, information, and resources to help you with your move abroad. And last, if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you gave me a like, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any move abroad content.